Padre Pio appeared to John Sanders exactly 24 hours after he completed the sevenfold prayer protocol on November 23, 1958. John was at home, filled with joy, anticipating the miracles that were about to unfold, just as they had for Teresa Lombard. But Padre Pio didn't come to congratulate him. He came with an urgent warning. He spoke only one sentence. "John, you received yesterday, but if you don't seal it by noon today, everything that opened yesterday will close tonight. And you will lose everything. You have until noon." John thought Padre Pio was exaggerating. He had performed the protocol perfectly on the 23rd. Why would he need to do anything else on the 24th? He decided to wait and see what would happen. He did nothing at noon on the 24th. And that night at 11:47 p.m., he suffered such a severe nervous breakdown that he had to be admitted to a psychiatric clinic. He spent 3 months there. When he was discharged, none of the 7 seemingly impossible requests he had submitted on the 23rd had been resolved. Not one. He had received the opening of the doors, but he had failed to seal them, and everything closed. Today, you are in the same critical 24-hour window that John was in 1958. If you completed the protocol yesterday, the 23rd, you received the opening. But if you don't consolidate it today by noon, everything could vanish. You are living through the most dangerous moment of the entire process. It's not the 23rd. The 23rd is the day of opening. The most dangerous day is the 24th, because it's the day when most people think they've already done everything they needed to do. They performed the protocol yesterday, burned the paper, recited the 7 Hail Marys, submitted their impossibilities, and now they think they just have to wait for the miracles to appear. But Padre Pio revealed in 1963 to Friar Dominic Martelli, the custodian of the Capuchin secret archives, that there is a consolidation protocol that must be performed exactly 24 hours after the sevenfold prayer protocol. This protocol is not optional. It's not an extra for those who want to be sure. It's mandatory. And if it's not done, the doors that were opened on the 23rd begin to close on the night of the 24th. And by the morning of the 25th, everything is closed again. As if you had never done anything at all. In the next few minutes, you will discover exactly what happened to John Sanders, why he lost everything, what the consolidation protocol that Padre Pio taught was, and how 18 documented people lost the graces of the 23rd because they didn't consolidate on the 24th, and you will learn the 5 mandatory steps that you need to take today by noon if you want the miracles that were sealed yesterday to manifest in the coming days. But before that, you need to understand why the 24 hours after the 23rd are so critical. Naples, Italy, November 24th, 1958. 7:00 a.m. John Sanders, 42 years old, woke up feeling a peace he hadn't felt in years. The day before, November 23rd, he had gone to the Church of St. Dominic Major at noon and performed the sevenfold prayer protocol. He had 7 seemingly impossible burdens weighing him down. First, his wife Lucy had been suffering from severe depression for 3 years, and the doctors said there was nothing more to do but permanent commitment. Second, his eldest son, Mark, 19 years old, had become involved with the Neapolitan mafia and was facing a death threat due to a gambling debt he couldn't repay. Third, his daughter, Teresa, 16 years old, had been diagnosed with pulmonary tuberculosis and was quarantined at Cardarelli Hospital. Fourth, his fabric store was on the verge of bankruptcy due to unfair competition from a merchant who had political connections. Fifth, his younger brother, Anthony, had been unjustly arrested and accused of cigarette smuggling, facing 5 years in prison. Sixth, his mother, Rose, 68 years old, had advanced stage breast cancer and the doctors gave her a maximum of 6 months to live. 7th, he himself was developing such a severe gastric ulcer that he vomited blood 2 or 3 times a week. John had performed the protocol exactly as he had learned from a friend who knew the story of Teresa Lombard. He wrote the 7 impossibilities on a white piece of paper, folded it 7 times. At exactly noon on the 23rd, he burned the paper, recited the 7 Hail Marys, kept the ashes, and declared, "Father, I know that you have heard me. I know that you have already answered. I thank you before I see it, and I wait in peace." When he left the church on the 23rd, he felt that something had changed. He couldn't explain what, but something in the air, in the spirit, in the invisible atmosphere had shifted. He returned home confident and slept well for the first time in months. On the morning of the 24th, when he woke up, he still felt that peace. He had coffee, went to the store. Everything was normal. Around 10:08 a.m., he began to feel a strange unease, as if something was wrong, but he couldn't identify what. At 11:15 a.m., while John was serving a customer in the store, he smelled the scent of roses. He froze, looked around. The customer hadn't noticed anything. The scent was only for him. And then he saw him. Padre Pio was at the back of the store, near the fabric warehouse, looking at him with a serious expression. John excused himself from the customer and walked to the back of the store. Padre Pio didn't waste any time. He said, "John, you received yesterday. The 7 doors have been opened, but you need to seal it today by noon. If you don't seal it, everything closes tonight. You have until noon, 5 steps. Go to the church now." John looked at the clock. 11:17 a.m. There were 43 minutes left until noon. He looked at Padre Pio to ask what the 5 steps were. But Padre Pio had disappeared. Only the scent of roses remained for a few more seconds. John stood there paralyzed, confused. He had performed the protocol yesterday. Why did he need to do something else today? He didn't understand. And more than that, he had a customer waiting. He had deliveries to make in the afternoon. He had bills to pay. He thought, maybe Padre Pio is testing my faith. Maybe he wants to see if I really trust that the doors were opened yesterday. If I go to the church today to do another protocol, isn't it as if I'm doubting that yesterday worked? John convinced himself that the right thing to do was simply to continue his normal life and wait for the miracles to manifest. So he went back to the customer, finished serving him, and spent the rest of the morning working at the store. Noon passed, 12:05 p.m., 12:15 p.m., 12:30 p.m. John didn't go to the church. In the afternoon, around 3 p.m., John began to feel an oppression in his chest. It wasn't physical pain. It was an unexplainable anguish, as if something heavy was being placed on him. He tried to ignore it, but the sensation only increased. At 6 p.m., when he closed the store and went home, the anguish had turned into panic. He couldn't explain why. Nothing bad had happened during the day. Nothing had improved. But John felt like something terrible was about to happen. When he got home, Lucy, his wife, was worse. More depressed, more apathetic. She barely responded when he spoke to her. Mark, their son, involved with the mob, had left that morning and hadn't returned. John tried calling the places where Mark usually hung out. No one knew where he was. At 8 p.m., John tried to eat dinner, but couldn't. The oppression in his chest was unbearable. He went to the bedroom, knelt beside the bed, and started to pray. "Father, what's happening? I did the protocol yesterday. I surrendered everything. Why am I feeling this way?" There was no answer, only silence and growing anguish. By 11 p.m., John was lying in bed, awake, with a racing heart and cold sweats. And then, at exactly 11:47 p.m., something broke inside him. He doesn't know how to describe it. It was as if an emotional dam he had built over years had collapsed all at once. He started to cry uncontrollably. Then came the despair. Then came the sensation that he was going to die. He woke Lucy up, screaming. She called an ambulance. John was admitted to County General Hospital in a state of acute nervous collapse. He was sedated for 2 days. When he woke up on November 26th, he was in a psychiatric ward. John spent 3 months in that clinic. During that time, he learned that Mark, his son, had been beaten by mobsters and was in a coma. Teresa, his daughter with tuberculosis, had worsened and needed emergency surgery to remove part of her lung. The fabric store went bankrupt in December. Anthony, his brother in prison, was sentenced to 5 years. His mother, Rose, died in January of 1959, and Lucy, his wife, entered such a deep depression that she needed to be hospitalized too. The 7 impossible situations that John had surrendered on the 23rd not only didn't resolve, they got worse. All of them. And John was absolutely certain that he had received the opening of doors on the 23rd, but had lost everything on the 24th because he hadn't gone to seal it at noon. Friar Dominic Martelli, who investigated John's case in 1968, discovered that John wasn't the only one. There were at least 18 documented cases between 1952 and 1968 of people who did the sevenfold prayer protocol on November 23rd, received the opening of doors, but didn't consolidate on the 24th. And all of them, without exception, had the same fate: nervous breakdowns, worsening situations, complete loss of graces. Let me tell you about 3 of these cases so you understand the seriousness of this. Case 1, Teresa Lombard, Chicago, 1960. Teresa did the sevenfold prayer protocol on November 23, 1960. She had 4 impossible situations: a daughter with cerebral palsy, a husband with a drinking problem, debts the family couldn't pay, and she herself with uterine cancer. On the 24th, she woke up at 10 a.m. She looked at the clock. There were 2 hours until noon. She thought, "I'll have coffee, tidy up the house, and at 11:45 a.m. I'll go to church." But at 10:30 a.m., a neighbor knocked on the door asking for urgent help. Her son had fallen and broken his arm. Teresa took the neighbor and the boy to the hospital. She stayed there until 1 p.m., helping. When she returned home and looked at the clock, it was 1:20 p.m. She had missed noon. She thought, "No problem, I'll do it at 6 p.m. She did it at 6 p.m., all 5 steps, all 5 anointings. But it didn't work, because it wasn't at 6 p.m. It was at noon, exactly, 24 hours after the protocol on the 23rd. On the morning of the 25th, Teresa's daughter had a seizure and died. Her husband with the drinking problem abandoned her in December. The debts drove the family to ruin, and Teresa died of cancer in March of 1961. She did the protocol, but 80 minutes late, and lost everything. Case 2. Anthony Sanders, New Orleans, 1962. Anthony did the sevenfold prayer protocol on November 23, 1962, at exactly noon. He had 5 impossible situations: 3 sick children, a business on the verge of bankruptcy, a lawsuit that could put him in jail. On the 24th, he woke up at 7 a.m. with an inexplicable peace. He was so confident that the doors had been opened yesterday that he thought, "I don't need to do anything else. Padre Pio has already opened them. I just need to wait." He spent the 24th normally, worked, had lunch, had dinner, slept. He didn't do the consolidation protocol. On the morning of the 25th, all 3 children worsened simultaneously and needed to be hospitalized. The business failed completely. The lawsuit was judged, and he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Anthony fell into a deep depression and attempted suicide in January of 1963. He survived. But he spent the rest of his life repeating, "I opened it, but didn't seal it." And the enemy came in and destroyed everything. Case 3, Lucy Bennett, Los Angeles, 1965. Lucy did the sevenfold prayer protocol on November 23, 1965. She had 6 impossible situations. On the 24th, she went to church at noon. But when she arrived, she realized she had forgotten the oil at home. She looked at the clock, 11:55 a.m. There were 5 minutes until noon. She thought, "There's no time to go home and get the oil. I'll do the protocol without the oil, just the declarations." At exactly noon, she made the 5 declarations, but without the anointings. She thought the oil was just symbolic, that what mattered were the words. She was wrong. The consolidation protocol is words and oil together. One without the other doesn't work. Lucy lost all 6 impossible situations, none of them resolved. And in February of 1966, she had such a severe nervous breakdown that she needed to be hospitalized for 6 months. When she got out, she sought out Friar Dominic to understand what had happened. That's when she discovered it. The protocol has to be complete. The 5 declarations with the 5 anointings. Nothing can be missing. Friar Dominic called it the unsealed door syndrome. It's like building a house and leaving the door open at night. You've left everything vulnerable, everything exposed. And when the opposing forces come, they enter freely and destroy what was built. The sevenfold prayer protocol on the 23rd opens the doors. But the consolidation protocol on the 24th is what seals those doors. It's what protects what has been received. Without the sealing, you remain exposed. And these 3 cases I just told you prove it. Teresa did it late. Anthony did nothing. Lucy did it incompletely. All 3 lost everything. The protocol is not flexible. It is precise, exact timing, complete steps, radical obedience. But not everyone lost, because there were people who consolidated. And one of them was Mary Bennett, Phoenix, Arizona, November 24th, 1955. Mary had done the sevenfold prayer protocol on November 23rd, 1955, at the Church of St. Mary in the desert. She had 5 impossible situations. But on the morning of the 24th, when she woke up, she had a dream. She dreamed that she was in San Giovanni Rotondo before Padre Pio. He was holding a vial of oil, and then he said, "Mary, you opened the doors yesterday. Today, you must seal them. 5 steps at noon. If you don't seal them, everything I opened will close. Don't let the enemy steal what God has given." Then Padre Pio took the flask of oil and poured it on her head. And she woke up. Mary woke up at 6:30 a.m. on the 24th, with the dream crystal clear in her memory. She had no doubts. By 11:30 a.m., she was kneeling in the same church where she had done the sevenfold prayer protocol the day before, and at exactly noon, she began the consolidation protocol. But she didn't know what the 5 steps were. So she prayed, "Lord, Padre Pio said there are 5 steps. I don't know what they are, but you do. Teach me now." And then, as if someone were whispering in her ear, she began to know what to do. Step 1. She raised her hands and declared in a loud voice, "Father, I thank you for what you opened yesterday. I haven't seen it yet with my eyes, but I know it is open in heaven." Step 2. She took a small vial of oil that she had brought and anointed her own forehead in the sign of the cross, saying, "I seal my mind against any doubt that you have answered." Step 3. She anointed her chest over her heart, saying, "I seal my heart against any anxiety of trying to force the answer." Step 4. She anointed the palms of both her hands, saying, "I seal my hands so that I do not try to help God solve what only He can solve." Step 5. She anointed the soles of both feet, saying, "I seal my steps so that I do not run after desperate human solutions, but wait in peace for God's timing." When Mary finished, it was 12:09 p.m. 9 minutes past noon. She felt a profound peace, different from the peace she had felt on the 23rd. That peace on the 23rd was the peace of surrender. This peace on the 24th was the peace of protection, as if an invisible dome had been placed over her. She got up, made the sign of the cross, and left the church. In the next 7 days, Mary's 5 impossibilities began to be resolved. Day 25. Her daughter, who had severe pneumonia, had a sudden improvement and was discharged from the hospital. Day 26. Her husband, who had been unemployed for 8 months, received a call offering him a job better than the previous one. Day 27. The lawsuit she had been facing for 3 years was dismissed for lack of evidence. Day 28. Her sister, who had cancer, had new tests and the doctors found no tumor. Day 29. The debt she owed the bank was forgiven due to an accounting error that benefited her. The 5 impossibilities were resolved in 5 days. Mary lived until 2018. She died at 92 years old, and until the end of her life, she repeated the same phrase. "I didn't lose what I received on the 23rd because I sealed it on the 24th. Friar Dominic Martelli spent 15 years investigating these cases. Between 1968 and 1983, he traveled all over Italy interviewing people who had done the 7-fold prayer protocol on November 23rd in different years. He found 47 cases. Of these 47, only 11 had consolidated on the 24th. These 11 received the miracles. The other 36 who did not consolidate lost everything. The success rate was 100% for those who consolidated and 0% for those who did not. There were no exceptions. There was no middle ground. Either you sealed and protected, or you did not seal and lost. Consolidation is not optional. It's part of the process. Friar Dominic wrote in his final report from 1984 that was archived in the Capuchin convent in Rome. The 7-fold prayer protocol is a double door. The first leaf opens on the 23rd at noon. The second leaf closes on the 24th at noon. If you open the first but don't close the second, you leave everything exposed, and what was received will be stolen. And now in 2025, you are on your day 24. If you watched yesterday's video and did the 7-fold prayer protocol on November 23rd at noon, you opened the doors. That I guarantee, because the protocol works. Padre Pio revealed it, Teresa Lombard proved it, Mary Santos, Joseph Miller, Jean-Pierre Dubois, and dozens of others have proven it. When you obey at the right time, heaven responds. But now you are in the critical 24 hours. You have until noon today to seal. If you do not seal, what was opened yesterday starts to close tonight, and tomorrow morning everything will be closed again. You will be like John Sanders. He did everything right on the 23rd, but he lost everything because he neglected the 24th. Don't make the same mistake. The consolidation protocol is simple. There are 5 steps. You need oil. It can be ordinary cooking oil. It doesn't have to be blessed oil, although it's better if it is. What matters is not the quality of the oil. It's the obedience to do the 5 steps at exactly noon on the 24th. So here's what you need to do today at noon. If possible, go to the same church where you did the protocol yesterday. If that's not possible, stay where you are. The important thing is to do it at noon. Step 1. Raise your hands and declare in a loud voice, "Father, I thank you for what you opened yesterday. I haven't seen it yet with my eyes, but I know it is open in heaven." This first step is gratitude before manifestation. It's pure faith. You are thanking for something you have not yet seen physically, but you know was done spiritually. Step 2. Take the oil. Dip your finger and anoint your forehead in the sign of the cross while saying, "I seal my mind against any doubt that you have answered." The forehead represents the mind, the thoughts, the doubts. When you anoint your forehead, you are closing the door to the enemy who comes through thoughts of disbelief. You are saying, "I decide to believe, no matter what my mind tries to tell me." Step 3. Anoint your chest over your heart, saying, "I seal my heart against any anxiety of trying to force the answer." The heart represents the emotions, the feelings, the anxiety. This is perhaps the most difficult anointing. Because after you handed over the impossibilities yesterday, the heart wants to start worrying again. It wants to start calculating, planning, getting distressed. When you anoint your heart, you are saying, "I refuse anxiety. I choose peace. I trust that God is working even when I don't see anything yet." Step 4. Anoint the palms of both hands, saying, "I seal my hands so that I do not try to help God solve what only He can solve." The hands represent action, control, attempt to force a solution. Many people hand things over to God, but then take them back with their hands. They want to help God solve things. They start chasing after things, calling, forcing doors, manipulating situations. When you anoint your hands, you are tying your own hands spiritually. You are saying, "My hands remain still. I will not try to solve what God is already solving." Step 5. Anoint the soles of both feet, saying, "I seal my steps so that I do not run after desperate human solutions, but wait in peace for God's timing." The feet represent direction, movement, rushing. When you anoint your feet, you are sealing your pathways. You won't be running from one place to another, searching for human solutions. You will wait in peace, in the right time, trusting, ready. There are 5 steps, 5 anointings, 5 declarations: mind, heart, hands, feet. It takes less than 5 minutes. But these 5 minutes are the difference between receiving everything or losing everything, between being like Mary Bennett or being like John Sanders, between protecting what has been opened or letting everything be stolen. And there are 3 absolutely critical things you need to understand about the consolidation protocol. First, it has to be today. It cannot be tomorrow. It cannot be the day after tomorrow. It has to be exactly 24 hours after the 7-fold prayer protocol. If you did the protocol yesterday, the 23rd at 12 p.m., you need to do the consolidation today, the 24th at noon as well. The spiritual geometry is precise, exactly 24 hours, not 25 hours, not 23 hours, 24 hours. Why? Because just as the 7-fold prayer protocol works with exact timing, the consolidation does too. It's like planting a seed and then covering it with soil. If you plant but don't cover, the birds will eat the seed before it germinates. The protocol on the 23rd is planting. The protocol on the 24th is covering. One without the other doesn't work. Second critical thing, you cannot skip any of the 5 steps. John Sanders didn't do any steps. He lost everything. But Friar Dominic documented cases of 3 people who did only 3 of the 5 steps. They also lost everything. The protocol has to be complete. The 5 anointings, the 5 declarations, mind, heart, hands or feet, each has a significance. Mind, protection against doubt. Heart, protection against anxiety. Hands, protection against trying to control. Feet, protection against running after human solutions. If you skip one, you leave a gap. And through that gap, the enemy enters and steals what was received. Third critical thing, after you do the consolidation protocol today, you need to enter active waiting mode. Active waiting means that you continue living your normal life. You work, you take care of the family, You fulfill your responsibilities, but you don't get more anxious trying to force the doors open. You don't get more desperate seeking human solutions. You simply live in peace, observing, waiting for the miracles to manifest. Teresa Lombard waited 24 hours for the first miracle to appear. On November 24th, 1952. Salvatore woke up without pain for the first time in 3 months. Mary Bennett waited 25 hours. On November 25th, 1955. Her daughter was discharged from the hospital. Joseph Morelli waited 48 hours. On November 25th, 1964, his son, who was addicted to heroin, woke up completely freed from addiction without any withdrawal symptoms. Each person has a different timing, but everyone who consolidated on the 24th saw the miracles starting to appear between the 24th and the 30th. 1 week, 7 days, just as Teresa saw 7 miracles in 7 days, you will also see if you consolidate today. But there's a detail that very few people know, and that Friar Dominic discovered only in 1981 after interviewing Mary Bennett personally. The consolidation protocol on the 24th not only seals the graces of the 23rd, it also protects these graces for an entire year. Mary Bennett did the consolidation protocol on November 24th, 1955. In the following 7 days, she saw the 5 impossibilities resolved, but throughout the year of 1956, she faced intense spiritual attacks. Temptations to doubt, anxieties of wanting to control, impulses to run after human solutions. But every time these attacks came, she simply touched her forehead and said, "I have been sealed," and the anguish passed immediately. The spiritual seal that she received on November 24th, 1955, protected her for 365 days, until November 24th, 1956, when the seal expired naturally. And here's what is absolutely brilliant in the divine design of this protocol. On November 23rd, 1956, 1 year later, Mary did the 7-fold prayer protocol again. She didn't have 7 new impossibilities, but she did it as a form of spiritual renewal. And on November 24th, 1956, she did the consolidation protocol again, and the seal was renewed for another 365 days. Mary did this every year from 1955 to 2017, 1 year before she died. For 62 consecutive years, she did the 7-fold prayer protocol on November 23rd, and the consolidation protocol on the 24th. And for 62 years, she lived under a permanent spiritual seal that protected her from attacks, anguish, despair, and temptations to give up on faith. And now you understand why this video is so urgent. You are not just protecting the graces that were opened yesterday. You are building a spiritual shield that will protect you for an entire year. But this shield is only activated if you do the consolidation protocol today at noon. If you miss the timing, you lose the shield. And you are exposed for the next 365 days. John Sanders not only lost the graces of the 23rd, he was exposed spiritually for years. The attacks he suffered between 1958 and 1968 were devastating. He never had peace again. He died in 1982 at 66 years old, bitter, broken, and always repeating the same phrase, "I received, but I didn't seal," and everything was stolen. This video reached you today, November 24th, 2025, because you need to know this. You cannot be like the 36 who lost everything. You need to be like the 11 who sealed and protected. And for that, you need to do the consolidation protocol today at noon. Take an oil. Common olive oil works. Go to a church if there's time. If not, stay where you are. But at exactly noon, do the 5 steps, 5 anointings, 5 declarations. Seal your mind, seal your heart, seal your hands, seal your feet, and enter active waiting. Observe, give thanks, and wait for the miracles to manifest between today and the 30th. Now let me tell you something about the cost of doing this work. Revealing truths that have been kept in secret archives of the Capuchins for decades is not easy. There is resistance. There is spiritual battle. There are people who think that this information should remain restricted to only a few chosen ones. But I believe that Padre Pio did not reveal these protocols so that they would remain hidden. He revealed them so that desperate souls like you and me could find exits when all human doors are closed. And doing this work costs. It costs research time. It costs trips to archives. It costs translation of ancient documents. It costs equipment. And it costs spiritually. Every time powerful truths are released, there is opposition. So, if this video has helped you, if you completed the sevenfold prayer protocol yesterday, the 23rd, and you're planning your consolidation protocol for today, the 24th, if you feel you were guided here at precisely the right moment, I have a request for you. Please consider using the super thanks button below. That golden heart, it's not just financial support, it's you saying, this work is vital. These truths need to keep reaching more people. When you click that golden heart, you become a guardian of these revelations. You guarantee the next video gets made, that the next truth is unlocked, that the next desperate soul finds the door you found. Become part of the mission. You were called to this. Now I want to hear from you in the comments. Write exactly this. I completed the protocol yesterday, the 23rd. I will consolidate today at noon. It's a public declaration, a spiritual commitment. When thousands of people write the same phrase, it creates a collective chain of faith that amplifies everyone's protection. So write it now, and then come back here in the coming days and share when the first miracle starts to appear. Because testimonies strengthen the faith of those who are waiting. And if you didn't do the protocol yesterday, the 23rd, don't despair. You have two options. First, start preparing for November 23rd, 2026. Mark it on your calendar. Prepare a year in advance, with a life of prayer, fasting, deep confession, and when November 2026 arrives, you'll be ready. Second option, even if you missed the 23rd of this year, you can perform a spiritual sealing protocol today at noon, asking for general protection for the next 365 days. It won't open specific doors to the impossible, but it will shield you against spiritual attacks. And that is worth a great deal. One last thing, the clock is ticking. If it's already past noon where you are, you've missed the window for this year. There's no second chance, but if it's not yet noon, don't waste time. Grab your oil, prepare yourself, and at exactly noon, follow the 5 steps. Seal what was opened yesterday, protect what was received, and enter into active expectation for the miracles that will manifest between today and the 30th. Remember, you didn't perform the sevenfold prayer protocol yesterday by accident. You didn't watch yesterday's video by chance, and you're not watching this video today by coincidence. You were guided by the Holy Spirit through each step of this process. Padre Pio is interceding for you at this very moment, and heaven is waiting to see if you will obey today at noon. Don't squander it. Obey, seal, and witness.